you know, there's an old African saying, never pick your nose in a glass house. Do you know what? My friend at school used to tell me that all the time. Not because I was like a prolific sort of nose picker. No, nothing to do with that. He was just doing it to make me laugh, really. And obviously it comes from a really quite powerful quote, doesn't it, about those in glass houses and throwing stones. I don't know if you're anything like me, but nowadays when I read the article, I find myself like fast forwarding down to the comment section. Like, I'm just really intrigued to see like how the human mind is thinking, what people are saying, what kind of thoughts are coming out through the power of social media. Because you know the reality is that people are ready to be a little bit more honest and share some of their more toxic and, I don't know, quite cold thoughts, judgmental thoughts when they're hidden behind the keyboard or there's no sort of immediate physical repercussions. So I'm always quite intrigued by what people got to say about the message or the story or whatever's been said or tweeted or posted or written or whatever. And it reminds me of the famous story. I mean, I've talked to you about the story many times. It's the story of the stoning of, or the accusation for the stoning of the lady when they bring her to Jesus to say, right, she needs to be stoned because she was just caught her in the act of adultery. It's really interesting, like, because for her to be caught in the act of adultery, there needed to be her and a man. But so I don't know where the man is. I don't know why they don't bring the man forward. He's just not there. But they bring the woman and they bring her before Jesus. Just imagine that she's been caught in the act. So she's probably semi-naked at this point, thrown in front of Jesus, saying she's due to be stoned. Now, I've heard that story many times, and it's a powerful story of grace and all of this kind of stuff, but I got a bit of a different vibe to it this week, because I just happened to be reading through Deuteronomy, which is in the Old Testament, and you see the kind of laws of the Torah, you know, the law of Moses playing through there, and the verse that's in there, it's quite a hard-hitting verse. It says, if a man is caught sleeping with another man's wife, basically adultery, then they should both be put to death. Now you might say, oh, what does put to death mean? Well, in the verse before and the verse after it talks about stoning, that was the method of putting people to death. They'd be taken to the gates of the elders and then put to death. That's what putting to death meant. It's very clear. No messing about it. So when they come here now, they're like, right, she needs to be put to death. She needs to be stoned to death, Jesus. What have you got to say about it? He doesn't speak. You all know the verse while he sits there in sort of drawing on the floor. And they're asking him, come on, what are you going to say? What do you want to do? So this could be a real quandary for Jesus, because does he condemn this woman to death? Or does he completely disregard the law of Moses? And that's where you get the famous quote, he who's without sin, throw the first stone. Not one of them do. But it's not just people that brought her there and accused her. The people that Jesus has just been talking to and teaching as well, they all get up and walk off because they realise that they can't throw the stone either. And the only person that's left there is Jesus. He has the authority to throw the stone at her because he is without sin. And it's that whole concept that the law of Moses was about perfection. That's all it was about, was perfection. And the whole point Jesus had to come was because they could never be perfect. And he knew they could never be perfect. That's why he came. And Jesus, fast forward 50 verses, literally 50 verses, and Jesus is saying before Abraham was, I am. He is calling himself the name given to God. He is the begotten Son, begotten of the Father. He was there when that law was made. With the Father he created that law. Through him the law was made. by him the law was made. You know, at the start of John it talks about that, and in John chapter 8, here you are. It's about 2,000 years, 1,500 years after Moses. Jesus is talking about that same Torah law and going, I am without sin, and I could throw a stone at you. I'm not going to. Just don't go and don't sin anymore. I forgive you. I have the authority to do so. It's a message we can still take on to today and be really prevalent to us today. That message of non-judgment. We are in glass houses. Jesus can see into the glass houses of our heart. He can see that we don't have the authority to be throwing stones. It's unwise to be throwing stones because our glass houses are bared for all to see, or at least for Christ to see and know that we are not in the right place to be throwing stones. So I would just encourage you from this point forward, just see how we can make this society less judgmental, how we can make this society more empowering, more embracing, more loving, more raising people up rather than bringing them down and condemning them. Never pick your nose in a glass house, but don't throw stones either. Read John chapter 8 and remain blessed.